Hello and welcome back to This or That with Kobe and Jat. We found Mark. We found that little gremlin in the back of the studio. All right, get the camera on us now. Get over here. We are presented by Verizon once again. Thank you very much, Kobe and Jat. This or That. You know the drill. We are on YouTube as well as live on the LCS. So let's get right into it. That Zeri Penta was a Berserker difference or just a Zeri?
Oh.
Let's take a look at the replay here.
Well, it does actually depend on the Penta because Zeri
that's that one
does
right there.
get the most Pentas. I'm watching it.
I'm gonna say it's a Berserker.
It's kind of a Maple diff. He didn't need to try and outplay this, but I guess he wanted to win it. I'm gonna say it's a Berserker diff. I like the player.
Well, I'm gonna say, I was gonna give that answer, and now I'm gonna say it's a Zeri. Just Zeri because every Zeri pentakill has no meaning to me.
Dude, they fixed the slide.
No, there's
this or that. For slide number 2.
Okay.
Most likely to take a game offline in the second round robin. Is it this or that? C9 or EG? I am obligated.
And they're giving us the previous game. Okay.
I am obligated to say Cloud9.
Why are you obligated?
They did lose to EG today.
Yeah.
But I am not a flip-flopper. And I said that C9 was going to end higher than FlyQuest. So they better beat them again. This game was a disaster, by the way, because they
How are they going to do it, though?
Mid.
Riddle me that.
You're just going to play better, Kobe. How do you win any League of Legends game? Self-confidence.
Where's our game plan? I think a good game plan for Evil Geniuses is what we just saw on stage with them beating Cloud9. How are you going to say Cloud9 are going to beat FlyQuest when they can't even beat EG? EG have got to have a better chance because they just beat Cloud9, Tristana mid, go around, destroy all the turrets. Now you got no base.
Okay, draft team fighting. That's
also,
you want a reason for
we got the signal that one was too slow, so they just changed.
Okay, but this one is also the wrong slide, so I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what is this or that. More dominant from Impact, his Scion, or his Telestrator segment. He was a beast in the Telestrator segment.
His Telestrator was both illuminating as well as comical.
Yeah.
So, perfect presenter right there. He's delivering on all fronts for...
Yeah. As a member of the broadcast, I appreciate his VOD reviewing more than his Scion gameplay. Although, without the Scion gameplay, he wouldn't be able to win and do the VOD review.
Let me ask you this.
Or the A.
Was his Scion gameplay taken down a notch by the fact that Solo just also had a massive Scion game? So now Impact Scion game, you're like, every Scion I've seen is super tanky.
You only pick it when everyone has all AD. It was correct. It was moving us.
I went with this one too.
Oscars are playing us out a little bit. Best skydive face, Dash, Poom, or Dokla.
There's a right answer. It's Dokla,
dude,
for sure.
100% Dokla.
Those are, I feel like these are canned.
Dash looks into the cat. The only person who...
This is real. Yeah. This is a real face right here. This is real skydiving reaction. They didn't Photoshop this. Look at that. The lip curvature up over the teeth, everything. These ones, they put that in the magazine. That's an advertisement. No. This is real.
I completely agree. I feel like there's a talent to not look into the camera in moments like
this. There's fear. There's real fear in those eyes.
There's real fear. Another fixed slide. This or that. Golden Guardians or Team Liquid Honda, more deceptive
and
team
this
record.
Is a YouTube submitted slide. You can submit slide ideas in the YouTube comments.
What if I like reading the YouTube comments? Anyway, Cyan Dude 858. So they are 1-4. TL is 3-3. I feel like TL is exactly where they deserve to be based on the way they've played. But Golden Guardians is better than like second to last.
I actually agree with everything you just said. As much as coming into this, I had much different expectations for Team Liquid. After seeing only 3 weeks of games, I'm like, yep, that's not deceptive. That's where they deserve to be.
Sounds about right. Summit, win some, you lose some. Bet your life savings on Prince getting MVP or the field. Your life savings, Kobe?
You can fit so many MVPs right there.
All right, if you're saying like player of the week, he's got a double. I hope he has a different pose that's ready. I think he's gonna do this one.
Yeah.
Is the next one?
Your frame is too wide. You gotta shrink that down. No, yeah, there you go.
Okay. But it's the field, man. Always take the field.
You want to do the bet? Let's do the bet. You wanted to make a bet. I bet Prince. I bet Prince.
I take the field.
You can have the field. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the loser has to Do an ice bath while eating a smoothie made by the other person with any ingredients. Boom. Bet made. Better meta read.
It has
just
to be
lock in
approved
Sion
by like a toxologist. I don't want to die. But yes.
Or just play more AD carries. Lol. Hey, pretty quick turnaround on this slide. They just played this game.
Yeah.
Tristana locked in. Sion, big tanky.
To me, this is 100% that. I think Sion needs to be picked at the end of drafts. Maybe you can just pick more AD carries lol. I have yet to be seen what counters Tristana too well in lane, other than control mages, which is true. But this is worse than that, so I'm picking that.
I like this one because this has better meme ability and is more concurrent. Honestly, with all the AD carries and support right now, there's too many.
We have another slide.
I have too many AD carries.
You didn't hear the number of slides, so I'm surprised.
All I hear right now is the background music, but I'm glad that I have the music.
Better Game 5 matchup, Licorice vs. Revenge or Gori versus Ablazeolive?
Oh, man. Honestly, I want to see more Gori action no matter who it's against. And Ablazeolive was a Golden Guardian, so you've got extra storyline built in here. Boom.
I'm just gonna agree with that.
Yeah, I got more storylines than you, Jat.
Yeah. So this or that does a really good job of picking slides that are sometimes difficult. But this one, that's the end of this or that, by the way. Thank you very much. But the reason that I struggled with that one is I think Ablazeolive versus Nero will be the one. So that's the end of this or that. For those watching on YouTube, send your comments in for next week. And for those of you here staying with us on broadcast, IMT versus GG is next. But before we head out of the arena, Ablazeolive tells us what it's
You can tell we do this live.
It's always been live.
Good one, Jat.
I can't do it, man. I can't go back out there.
Where exactly?
Out there. The stage. He's out there. I know he's out there. I can see his bald head in my dreams.
You mean teammates?
Not my teammates. Nick Smith. Anero?
He's not your coach anymore.
It doesn't matter. Do you know what an Anero draft does to a man? For 2 years? One time in scrims, he forced me to play Renata mid. He said it was good. It was terrible!
It's a team fight comp. It's pretty straightforward.
And then, after we played Renata mid and it was terrible, he comes to me and says, Nick, try it with Olaf. It's really good. It was still terrible! That guy.
He's able to team fight and provide CC for the team. It's pretty straightforward. We're just team fighting, you know?
You alright?
Yeah, I'm fine. You know, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine. I'm good.
There's this bald guy out there to see you.
That was the best acting from a pro player.
Yeah,
of all time.
It's not like the standard, just like, oh, haha, great acting. You know,
No, he fully committed to it. Ablazeolive.
Good job, Ablazeolive. I have no idea if he
That was
knows that he
hilarious.
just aired that bit, but man, I think there's genuine fear instilled from his time on an arrow. Oh my goodness, and now he's even more upset. Come on, get him. Get him,
That is actually
Ablazeolive.
too funny. I don't know if you know the team fight comp reference.
No.
That is, I'm gonna have to show you that. That is probably my favorite segment I've ever done on AD with Mark and Dash.
Oh, wait.
That's the clip that spawned the team fight comp segment.
That was like back when,
That was a long time ago.
yeah, like I think,
Back in the Stone Age.
yeah.
When I was a young man.
Oh my goodness, the Anero tweet as well. Jeez, this is great.
Yep.
Even I love how Ablazeolive and Anero are just leaning into this rivalry now. It's like, I wasn't treated well on Golden Guardians. Obviously, that's not the case. You know, it's just friendly banter,
It's
guys.
more I wasn't drafted well for, you know. Sometimes maybe he's kind of saying haha, but then he got a little bit of seriousness to it, you know. We'll see. We'll see if he wants to blame his coach for this draft or not after it's done.
Right. Well, you know, both of these teams just came off of pretty huge wins, considering Immortals had a comeback win yesterday against Dignitas after, you know, an incredibly early pressured game from Dignitas and Santorin. But, you know, Kenvi on that Graves, it's his first Graves game of the Spring Split. But as we talked about yesterday, you know, that is also another Kenvi special. And the way that Kenvi was kind of dancing on the front lines, soaking up so much damage only to then use Gore Drinker, well timed as well, to just sustain himself and just really be not only a bruiser but also a damage dealer, and just making sure that he bought space for Tactical to just clean up the whole fight. I mean, that comeback from Immortals gives them the identity that, like, yes, we're a team that's not doing well, but we're tenacious. We're going to continue fighting until the very end.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, the reality is they've won 2 games in a row, right? Which is nothing to scoff at. This is definitely a winnable game as well. So they could be putting themselves on a little bit of a streak, moving to 50-50 if they can win this one. Golden Guardians, of course, is looking for their second win. They're sitting at 1-4 right now. But they did have Young in the first week, so you can kind of put a little bit of an asterisk on that record. And Gori last week also, from what I had been told, basically came straight from the airport, went into some scrims, and then had to play on stage, right? It was like right thrown into the fire. So he didn't have a lot of time to kind of really gel with the team. I think even in those losses last week, I think he actually looked good.
Yeah.
I was quite impressed.
And yesterday on their win against CLG, it was dominant from Golden Guardians. It seemed like there was absolutely no chance. And I mean, Gori had a field day in that 1v2 we saw yesterday as well against Dokka and Palafox, which was kind of a last-ditch effort, but also just great stuff from Gori, just showing off why this guy has been kind of a sleeper draft pick from Golden Guardians going into this offseason. But also want to give credit to Stixxay and huhi, who had a fantastic bot lane game yesterday. They had the isolated 2v2 kill, which pretty much snowballed that entire game for Golden Guardians.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's massive, right? We've talked so much about how it is a very, very bot lane focused meta, so they need to be playing for that. Huhi gave an interesting interview. He talked about how when he was playing with FBI, they were playing so much for like all out lane dominance, looking for kills,
Right.
and then it has been an adjustment playing with Stixxay. And I don't know if that means that he's having to take a step back, or if Stixxay wants to play it a little bit different than they had played it previously. He didn't get really into exactly what that adjustment was that they're trying to make. But it has been nice to see them playing a little bit more aggressive and trying to actually play for that dominance, because I don't think in this meta that you can just sit back, especially when there are so many poke heavy bot lanes with these AD carry supports and all these different things that are coming in there, and I'm playing so heavily for 2v2 dominance. Like, if you just seed the wave, I think you just hard lose bot basically every single time.
Yeah.
Because once you lose full control of the wave, they can bounce it, they can freeze on you, they can step past the wave, right? It can become very, very difficult. So you've got to be willing to scrap. You've got to be confident in your ability. And we are just having a small delay here. I was told it was about peripherals, so they're trying to get those peripherals fixed up on stage. I'm assuming it's something to do with River, who has a number of people over around him. So hopefully that's going to be fixed pretty quickly.
Yeah, I got to make sure that everyone's devices is, working accordingly. Can't rather get the pause in now than have it happen in mid-game, especially if you have a big team fight going on and then, hey guys, I can't hear any audio. I need a pause. Like, oh, you're kind of dead, dude. Like, this is an unopportune time to pause. So we'll be trying to get into game as swiftly as possible. But honestly, I mean, I'm down to continue talking more about Immortals. I'll give you more things to talk about Golden Guardians.
So it is the newest update I have is obviously it's going to be a mouse issue. You can see a lot of people there on screen fiddling with the mouse, and it should be about 2 minutes. That's the estimated time for them to actually get this fixed up. But yeah, feel free, take us on an adventure here.
You know what? Let's talk about Kenvi and my caution when I was casting with Kobe yesterday, because Kenvi, the way that he has come up through the amateur system and the academy, and then finally got his first LCS big shot last summer, being drafted over to Immortals. Obviously, that summer split probably wasn't the most remarkable impression that new fans or new viewers of Kenvi probably had of him. But when you get to see moments in that game yesterday, that is what we expect of Kenvi. Really, just being the madman and just kind of being willing to risk it all and just go for these plays. Yeah, there was a couple times he also died in yesterday's game, but it was also willing to take the brunt of a lot of the damage and just making sure that he was pushing his team to the limit.
Absolutely. And I think it can be really, really tough when you are a carry player and you lose a little bit of confidence. And when you come into the league and you're coming off of a team that was, pretty successful in academy, right? And you're joining a team that, let's be honest, is losing a lot in the LCS. It can be difficult, right?
Yeah.
Because you're having to reevaluate so many things. You're having to change your playstyle already when you make that jump from academy to LCS, but then you're having to evaluate, okay, well, was the way that I thought to play the game before completely wrong? Do I need to fully adjust and play way more passive? Is that what's going wrong? But I think, as a carry player, it is so important to keep that killer instinct, to be willing to go aggressive, to be willing to ride that line. So I'd way rather see these young players that are coming up into the league, strive for these great mechanical moments and fail than just sit back and play passively and look to lose the game, because we know that Kenvi made his name as a carry player, right? He was the Kindred guy. He's the Graves guy. These are these types of picks that really have to be playing on that knife's edge, or you just don't get much out of them.
Right. And if you continue, I mean, I know we're in a meta where it's Sejuani dominated, Vi dominated, Maokai almost every single game, which isn't necessarily the greatest thing for Kenvi, but obviously every jungler needs to adapt and evolve. But when you as a team, which, talking to the GM has stated before, we know that Kenvi is a carry player. We want to facilitate in him. Obviously, not every single draft is going to line up Kenvi's way, but anytime that Kenvi is given those resources, it's a statement of trust from the team, and it's a statement from everyone else saying, Kenvi, this is your game. Show us what you got.
Absolutely. And you can kind of buck the trends in the meta a little bit, right? You can be able to kind of go outside that. There are players throughout so many different teams, throughout so many different regions who have been able to successfully have their pocket picks that they go towards. I mean, Pioshek, even in this region, has had 5 out of 6 games, Kindred has been banned against him, right? So clearly he is doing well in scrims with it. Clearly people are terrified of him on this pick, despite the fact that no one's really caring about it besides him, and Kenvi has played it one time. So we know that these picks can work. And sometimes you actually have a little bit of an advantage on them, even though they are a bit outside the meta, because you have practice against all the common meta matchups, but they may not have practice against you, right? And they may not have practice against that sort of style. So you can get advantages. I always think it's really fun when players do establish themselves on a pick, where it's like when Viper was in the league and you saw Riven come out, you're like, all right, some shit's about to go down. We're about to see something.
We're about to see some spicy stuff.
Who he would bust out the Azael, right? Or Bjergsen every once in a while, he gets the Zillion game, and then everyone's like, oh yeah, we have to ban that.
We love pocket picks here. Yeah.
It's fun, right? And I do think there's such a long track record of success with them. So, I hope that Immortals is having that confidence in Kenvi and going to be able to enable him. On the other side, going up against River. River is, I think, a really exciting player. I think that people have cooled off on him a little bit. His time with Dignitas, he was like 1v9ing so many of those early games at the start of last split when he first came into the LCS, and people were really, really hot. When he went over to Golden Guardians, people were, I think, expecting a lot from this team. They were expecting that it was going to be immediate, like an immediate impact and have a lot more success. It didn't really pan out that way. It didn't feel like they could ever get on that same page, but they have made some more roster adjustments here. This is a team that I think they have a lot of confidence. I got to talk to some of their coaches. I got to talk to Spooks before the season started. And, he feels like they have a really good group of guys. They're confident in their abilities, and they think that they can show a lot, right? And I kind of tend to agree after watching these last couple games since Gori actually got here. I think the team has looked significantly better. I think that this is a team that definitely can be, going up and to the right and starting to pick up a lot more wins, because I don't believe that they're a team that should be, down at the bottom of the standings. They've looked way more promising than some of the other teams that are around them.
Yeah, it's not like they're getting blown out every single game. They've even had games against, I think the one against Evil Geniuses, where they had a solid early game. It didn't get a chance to close it out, right? And for Golden Guardians, this is also a team, now that they have had Gori in for at least a week since arriving here in California, just making sure that there's no more of just getting that adjustment period down for this team to really settle into its groove. And off of a statement win like yesterday as well against CLG, you have that momentum. That's why I'm so excited. Even though this is the last game of the day, between Golden Guardians and Immortals, we're back at that. Both of these guys coming off of statement wins saying, our momentum is hot right now. Can you stop us from getting too far ahead?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to speak more about Golden Guardians, even the first game that Gori played on stage was against FlyQuest, and that was actually a relatively close game. That was a really good Azir game from him. And I just even went back to kind of like sanity check myself how close it was. And at 15 minutes, they were actually up in gold, right? So they were at a slight lead over FlyQuest, who has been kind of running over the league, let's be honest. At a certain point, FlyQuest did start to really take over, as they have done against everyone. But, it's not really a knock against them.
All right. Well, seems like the delay is going to be taking a little bit more time. So while we are checking in, let's go ahead and see what Revenge's latest vlog is like from the Immortals camp.
Okay. All right, guys. We are back for the weekly vlog. We got all the boys here. We got a really nice dog here too. Yeah, we are actually walking home from scrim after scrims today. It was a pretty nice day. What'd you say?
Kenvi was smurfing today.
Kenvi was performing as per usual. Yeah. I'm actually pretty excited. All of us are actually pretty excited. The energy is high. Look at this guy. Whoa, who's hiding? Look at this little rat.
What do you mean I'm not hiding?
We have to get up close. Honestly, I'm dedicating this vlog. No, I'm gonna dedicate this vlog to getting close and personal with Edward Raw, aka Tactical.
Hi.
Eddie.
Aw, I love the camaraderie between Immortals, and it's a good way to stick together as a team, even through some of the more difficult losses. But we're finally in the Champions Select, so thank you to everyone for your patience as we finally get to see the last game of the day between Golden Guardians and Immortals.
Absolutely, and we talked about Kindred a lot in that pregame. It immediately gets banned out. First ban there for Golden Guardians, so no, Kenvi, you will not be playing that today. Graves, of course, is still open for now. A lot of marksman bans, /support bans, whatever you want to call them. Caitlyn, Ashe, Zeri, all taken off the table. Elise going to get banned out as well. You know, River really known for his impact on these early game junglers, so that will be taken away. And it's just going to be kind of stock standard. Sejuani first pick. And now the interesting thing here is, where does Immortals want to go with their bot lane? Because almost always we're seeing in these first couple picks, that is going to be dictated. You know, will they want to go towards something like a Lucian Nami? Do they want to have an answer pick and look for something a little bit more aggressive? Yeah. We know that Tactical can look for things like the Draven, but of course it is going to be Lucian. Actually, Nami on 2, interesting. You know, generally I feel like people just will wait for Nami on 3 to try to take something away from their opponents, but just going to lock it in. They want to see a little bit more from Golden Guardians and potentially try to get some sort of a counter.
I would be pretty hyped to see a Samira or a Neela, but I imagine that Stixxay...
Don't get your hopes up.
Oh, well, you know what? I'll take a Kalista.
Okay.
I'll take a Kalista.
Okay.
That's pretty hype.
Yeah. That's got to be one of the first ones we've seen in the LCS this split.
Other than Sven's support Kalista.
Yeah, we did see that, but I'm trying to think about bot lane ones, and I guess theoretically this could still be support.
Yeah.
But interesting, so they're not even locking their support here. They're actually going to go Renekton, so now...
They're keeping it ambiguous here.
Yeah, they're maybe going to look for a little bit of a later pick, try to see what the rest of the composition is. We could have an answering pick here from Revenge. To me, that's what makes the most sense. I think it's fine to drop your jungle towards the second phase. It's not really a big deal. They seem to disagree, though. They're going to go Wukong instead, so... It will mean Revenge gets less advantage out of being on red side, because they can throw some protection bans for that Renekton.
Right.
And that's going to kind of limit his options a little bit. But generally, when you are playing against Renekton, most of the matchups just kind of end up being a lot of these. Either you play a tank that outscales it, or you play these kind of skill matchups anyway.
Yeah.
I would have loved to see him go right at him with something a little bit more aggressive, like that Jax that we know he does enjoy playing. Cassante obviously can work really well, but that's already banned out. So interesting to see where Revenge wants to take us. And if Golden Guardians are going to be throwing bans to try to protect it, to try to limit those options. Because the only champions that Revenge has played so far is 3 Cassantes just taken off the table, and then he has the 1 Fiora and that 1 Ornn game.
I was curious if Immortals had an idea of where this Kalista was going to go. They seem to think that it's Stixxay's pick, but if it does turn out to be a support pick and they start banning all these supports out, then...
That's the power of flex picks, right? Is that, if you throw it out there like, hey, it's an AD, and then they ban out multiple supports, you're like, well, just kidding. It's actually support, right? And
damn,
huhi did have a good game on Caitlyn, I believe it was. He was actually having a really good game, just unfortunately in the loss, but was kind of stomping in that one. So we know that he is willing to play those different styles of picks. There's a lot of players in support in this league now who are role swapped supports. And I always feel like those guys are fun because they're more willing, I think, oftentimes to go outside that. Huhi was a mid laner, Busio was a mid laner, Cortege was an ADC, Sven was the ADC. I might even be forgetting people. That's 4 instantly off the top of my head who actually were starting out in other roles. So it is definitely interesting to see.
All right, stop the cap here, Eddie. We already know you have a Lucian
Raven
and Nami.
mid, blind. No, you don't think so?
Yeah, well,
you don't think so?
I don't know. I've seen a Draven.
It's a Gnar.
Yeah, all right. It's the Gnar.
I thought for sure this time.
We're not seeing Fabi top anytime soon, Azael. No Draven top. Now, Golden Guardians still have to reveal to the rest of the class, where is this Kalista going? Is this actually for Stixxay, or is this going to be our second Kalista support of the split?
They can just pick another AD, and then you still don't know.
Damn it.
Checkmate, Raafaa.
They really got me.
Nice try.
All right, well, Sylas for the mid lane. I mean, we already saw Gori do some nasty stuff on the Taliyah yesterday. I can't imagine that he can do something similar in the frying pot with the Sylas on his side. Come on, Golden Guardians, just tell us.
They're thinking it through. Oh, this would be a real huhi classic. He was, I think, our best support player on set in the LCS. This was something that he kept playing long after everyone else abandoned it, but it's not. It's actually Renata. And Renata is something I think is like really undervalued. I actually think this is still a really strong pick.
Yeah.
It's been one of my favorite supports since the champion came out. So often when I'm filled support, I'm playing Renata. I really do enjoy it. I do think it has a pretty strong laning phase as well. It scales incredibly well. And the Bela allows champions like Kalista to play hyper aggressive. And I think in particular with Kalista, it synergizes really, really well because oftentimes champions, when you bail them out, will struggle to actually get that killing blow. But with Kalista, you can actually just continue to stack up those spears. It gives you an extra couple seconds to actually get that super powerful Ren to get a kill, get a reset. So oftentimes it's not that hard on a champion like a Kalista or a Draven or one of these really kind of all-indie style champs to actually get that reset and turn things around, especially when you can target someone like a Nami who can be very, very susceptible to getting burst down.
Yeah, no real mobility. And the other big thing about having something like Renata, we always love to see well-timed hostile takeovers. When you look at Immortals, their effective range outside of the calling, it's pretty short.
Yeah.
So they have to step forward. Their engage is very limited. It's very dependent on Kenvi going in. If you try to go Cyclone and then hostile takeover comes out, the rest of your team can't follow you up, and then you're just a sitting duck.
Absolutely. And you can also do some pretty nice self kind of setup plays with this, where you throw out the Renata ult, you get Kalista ulted, then you knock them up, then you Q them, and it's like you have this CC where you're kind of setting yourself up. You're throwing that because of the slow travel time. You throw that first, and then you can land your other CC to kind of really layer that into it. So there's some nice all-ins that you can definitely pull off. I'm going to be curious to see how aggressive they can get with it. They are going to be playing Ignite on huhi here, so looking to get fairly aggressive. Tactical, of course, is going to be playing Cleanse. I feel like it's almost a prerequisite against Renata, but also when there's both the Renekton as well as the Sejuani, you're going to get value out of Cleanse, pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, there's just way too many stuns to have to avoid. But we're on the Rift here for our last game of the day between Immortals and Golden Guardians. And already Immortals grouping up this 5, holding hands, making sure that no one gets caught out.
He's going to kill him. Don't do it.
Please. Well, tactical dancing around. He's the bait. In case anyone from Golden Guardians shows face, but no one on Golden Guardians' side is going to even think about stepping up close. I think there's only one ward placed down, if I see that correctly.
Yeah, there's one in the Pixel Brush over by the river. So they're going to have that one defensive ward, as the observers are highlighting, right about there. I missed it. They went by.
Yeah.
But we are seeing them look for that kind of 5-stack on bot side. And I never mind this, right? If you're expecting that Golden Guardians might be going forward, trying to get some sort of a little cheesy play, sometimes these Kalista lanes will just brush camp and try to get someone as they're coming back to Lord's lane. So they just 5-stack their brush bot. There's not really much of an opportunity cost. The only thing it costs them is that they have to bring their mid laner in here to clear out these brushes, because since they were all bot side, they don't know if there's a 5-stack or a 3-stack or whatever up covering that red brush. And now huhi and them, they were expecting that there would be a ward over here. So he's starting sweeper. He just walks in, tries to get that. That was his trinket ward that was placed in Pixel. So a nice little small thing that they did, but they actually timed that usage of the black spear on huhi as he recalls. So he basically dies back in base and then swaps over to that sweeper from the trinket. So it's like a small little optimization. Did it actually matter this game? Probably not, but it's cool.
Yeah. Other defensive maneuvers from Immortals as they were entering for Kenvi's red buff. Ablazeolive took the time to just scout ahead with threaded volley, just making sure that while they were all stacked up on the bottom side of the map, because they don't know. They didn't know if anyone from Golden Guardian's side tried to poke into Kenvi's own red buff, but it is kind of standard, no real actions going on.
I mean, it's a great life lesson. It's a great way to check a brush, just throw a rock in there.
Oh, I should have learned that when I was playing Pokemon Red for the first time. Is there something in here?
Just chuck something in there. See what happens. Work for Ablazeolive.
Yeah.
If it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me.
At some point, Azael, I actually want a tutorial. You guys can't see this at home, but anytime Azael gets to do fancy stuff and brings attention to the screen, he has a middle monitor and he gets to just draw cool stuff.
Yeah, I could do like a smiley face right now,
Yeah! Nice. See, that's the stuff that I would do. I wouldn't really, but I'll have to figure out.
I'll teach you.
Thank you.
We can accomplish this. We could actually potentially, if this game is slow, we could accomplish this right now.
Oh my goodness.
Do you want to learn live on broadcast?
Yes, I do. Now, not right now, just making sure that we don't miss anything. But if there's a point where a team is clearly dominating and there's no way to come back.
I think you go for it. Let's see it.
Oh, just right now?
Just get in there, yeah.
Oh,
So here we go.
All right.
This one is if you want to draw a straight line.
Okay.
You go over here. This is for the arrows.
Nice.
This is a big circle. This is a small circle. You press R or click the reset button. This zooms in on the map. And those are your basics. That's what we're going to start you with here.
Okay.
Right? So you can draw on the map. Try it out. Let's see what you got.
What does this do?
So that highlights a section of the jungle.
Ah.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Perfect. You can...
Okay, wait, hang on. Oh, River is gonna come through looking topside for a gank. How do I?
There you go.
Clear the screen. Clear the screen. How do you do it? Okay, there we go. Just wanted to make sure.
Congratulations, you did it.
Woo!
You threw an arrow.
All right, well now River wants to make the dive, and I don't think Revenge is getting out of this one unless he can go make a. Oh, River! Unfortunately, cannot save Licorice, but it is a 1-for-1 in the end.
It is a 1-for-1. Golden Guardians get first blood, which is nice, but unfortunately for Licorice, he does not get the kill, and Revenge does. So, yes, there will be a little bit of an XP advantage potentially because a couple minions did die. But I think Revenge is actually going to be pretty happy about how that went. So they'll see if they can get back and look for some sort of a repeat.
Would you? Oh, whoa! Ablazeolive forcing a flash out of Gori. Not sure how that happened, but Ablazeolive nicely winned there. Meanwhile, let's take a look back at the top side.
Yeah, they just have the push. You can see that the rage bar is actually really, really high here. It is a bit of a dicey dive because he's so close to that mega, but they had the confidence to go for it. So flash, empowered stun, and then they have the W chain there, the E, the Q flash from River. So making sure that they can actually burst him down before he goes mega, because if he megas out there and lives, it's a disaster.
Yeah,
so they had to get that kill. But now trying to potentially threaten on this bottom side. River's getting really aggressive, looking for a second dive.
Lens is already burned by Tactical. How much longer can he live? Flashing away from danger. River and Stixxay hop, skip, jumping forward, looking for the damage. The spears are stacking. One that's nicely done from Stixxay. Gets the rend in, but now Kenvi has joined the fray. Fleshy can't really do much more from the sidelines. Kenvi trades one back onto River. Whoa, the damage is cool, but Stixxay still's got spears, and he cleans them all up.
Yeah, he's gonna get another kill there. Stixxay out to a great start here already, 2-0, and look at all the farm the Tactical lost. It's a disaster falling this far behind against the Kalista this early on. Maybe could have had a third kill if he got one more spear in Kenvi before he rended, if he got the rend reset on that kill. Because it looked like a Triumph heal even came through onto Wukong, which then took him a couple more autos, and he didn't have that reset to try to kill off Fleshy, but still, big stuff for Golden Guardians. River getting super aggressive. This is reminiscent to when he first came in on Dig and people were so excited for him, where it's like gank top, gank bot, re-gank, just constantly putting on that pressure. Kenvi, trying to answer it, but not really able to get that much done. And they're behind Revenge. Revenge is nowhere close to Mega. So if he can actually get this all the way in prior to the Rage Bars getting stacked up, he could look for this, but this has been shown, right? Like, he actually spotted that ward in the river, so he knows that he was spotted, and Fleshy is coming out to cover.
Good awareness from Fleshy, just knowing whether it's in comms or just Revenge making a call like, hey guys, I think River's going to path towards me next.
Yeah, we can see this one more time. So it's about the wraparound here. River, uses the Q, getting over the wall, so he doesn't have that for this. But huhi's just going to be the one to actually start it up. Hits the Q, it's immediately cleansed out there from Tactical. Huhi walks it out, does stay alive, and then the W speed up there is what keeps Stixxay in range of Tactical. Tactical just has to fully retreat. W comes back off cooldown there. That slow allows Stixxay to get those final spears in. And then this was very close to a triple kill. Kenvi's flashing in to try to get aggressive, but that means you're guaranteed to die. The Rend here coming in, look at that. Just barely doesn't kill him, then the Triumph Field comes through. So I think there's a possibility that he might have been able to get Fleshy. At the very least, though, he gets 2 kills. He's up a good 15, 16 CS, and he is feeling really, really good about his position in this game.
And for Stixxay and huhi, this was a bot lane that during the first week of LCS, there is a lot left to be desired on their performance. But, I think Stixxay and huhi, considering the career that they've had, they know how to bounce back, and is coming off of the incredible win yesterday against CLG, which was pretty much stemmed off of that 2v2 from Stixxay and huhi had. This is another statement, kind of early lead that Stixxay and huhi have garnered for themselves with the help of River.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It's about playing around bot. I talked about it earlier, talked about it yesterday with Inspired. feeling that it is so much right now in this current meta about getting your bot lane ahead. And River here lying in wait for Ablazeolive, who's getting really low. Gori's going to be coming.
Kenvi is here to help. Cyclone right on top of Gori, but Gori has a Cyclone of his own, finds Ablazeolive despite the flash being burned. Kenvi trades one back on the River, but Gori has help from huhi and Stixxay, who have the first roam. Kenvi, Nimbus striking onto the minions, gets away potentially. Oh, but the face call is available, and they lock him down. Azael, Stixxay, another one on the board.
Yeah, that is a big one. That was even, I think, a bounty there. It looked like he got 400 gold for that kill, I think. So might have been a little bit of a bounty onto Kenvi. Another kill onto Stixxay. He is just so far ahead now already. 1,400 gold ahead of Tactical at 8 minutes. Is a monster individual advantage. Golden Guardians going to be feeling really, really good about their start here in this one. We can watch it one more time. As they were looking to try to get pressure through this river, did they actually spot the little water
pet?
dog? I don't know if they actually did or not. There was, I mean, question mark ping was obviously for Ablazeolive because he was looking for a roam down towards bot. So Taliyah's cheating out from mid down towards bot. So they say, all right, no, instead, just bring the bot lane up. You actually look at the bottom right of your screen, we're gonna see the AD and the support making their roam up. So they're looking for this collapse. We have Liver just lying in wait there in that side brush. Gets that initial chunk down onto Ablazeolive, and then Gori, he does take a lot of damage as he's going aggressive there, but I just think it's such a smart play from Golden Guardians to preempt that, because if their bot lane just stays bot, all of a sudden you have Kenvi showing up behind you, you have Ablazeolive showing up behind you. There's no way that Fleshy and Tactical can walk into the river contest them because they lose the 2v2 hard. So it's a free move from bot, and that guarantees they're eventually going to win that fight.
And you have to imagine what was Ablazeolive doing there, and I imagine that it was because they didn't know if River was there. Speaking of River, makes his presence once again in the mid lane, rectifying the odds, as now Gori gets a kill for himself.
That's a jungle masterclass. He is just smurfing it so far in this one. 6 kills in 9 minutes. He's been a part of every single one on the Sejuani. He dives top, he dives bot, he counters the roam from mid lane. Now he kills mid lane as well. He's just looking incredible, and Kenvi has snuck into the brush here. Won't be spotted just yet by that little Kalista ghosty, but
I think it's called a Sentinel?
we're gonna call it the Kalista ghosty.
You know what? I like that name better. That's a cooler name.
I mean, it's gonna be almost impossible to dive them unless they like completely troll and go way too far forward. I don't think there's any way that Wukong could just straight up dive into the Renata. Like if you try to go through that ulti, you're gonna be toast. So they're playing with respect to it. They knew that their jungler was actually doing dragon, so there's no reason for them to rush. They don't have eyes on Wukong, so they just play it smart, they play it safe, and they're wasting so much of Kenvi's time.
Yeah, and I think even Tactical is trying to bait Stixxay and huhi to play confidently up forward so that Kenvi can fish for something, because the lead that Golden Guardians have set for themselves already, it's huge. Stixxay is so far ahead of Tactical at this point that something needs to be done to rectify it, or, I mean, this Stixxay or this Kalista is going to just walk away with the game.
And that's when it can become so obvious, right? Where it's like, you're getting slammed in a 2v2, and the people who are getting blasted all of a sudden are walking forward and posturing aggressively. Why would you be doing that? You know you lose 2v2. There's no shot you win 2v2, so someone is there, right? So they're just going to kind of play it safe. And as soon as they start going back towards their normal play, we can see Stixxay and huhi continuing on their aggression. I do like that they grabbed the first dragon. It wasn't super early or anything because it was mostly that River was actually focusing on the ganks themselves, which have been great. But from here, you want to see them continuing to stack those dragons, work towards the soul. You have full bot lane prio, you have jungle prio, you even have some pressure in mid now with Gori, and you have Kalista to help secure all those objectives. So every single dragon, it should be rinse and repeat, right on spawn, show up, take that, and pressure Immortals into having a response.
All right, well, Revenge just getting some damage on the Licorice as I don't think he can actually all in him here, especially if the boulder does not hit him, but just pushing in this wave.
Yeah. Not going to be able to look for the all-in, because Licorice also still has his ulti, so there's no way you can really just like hard force that. Licorice still has his ulti.
Yeah.
But we'll see if they're going to be able to bait him in for anything. I don't think there's any reason that Revenge should go for it. Like trying to dive a Renekton with ultimate up would be way too much, because he's in mid, he doesn't even have his mega. Like if he was that low and you hadn't used mega yet, then maybe.
Yeah.
But I think they were perhaps wondering if Kenvi was in brush behind him, and then they could have maybe looked for that type of play.
Right.
So good coverage from River.
Already, as you called it out before, the jungle masterclass from River. River has been able to influence every single lane at this point. This is kind of what happened in some of the matches that Immortals have, been kind of stomped by in the past because they take advantage of Kenvi's inexperience on the LCS stage, right? You know, just making sure that even though Kenvi, great carry player, but if you're going up against someone who is just influencing all of your lanes and forcing you to respond while you just want to get resources for yourself, then it puts strain on you. It puts pressure on you to do something, and you know Kenvi's not going to always know where is the best place to strike.
Yeah, and I think River can put that pressure on really anyone. When he's having his best games, he can do this to just about anyone in the LCS, right?
Yeah.
You know, he really is aggressive, and he's one of those guys that I think bucks the trends because he's just nonstop, consistently going for those ganks. This time, Revenge does actually force out the response ult there. Licorice was getting a bit low, started to get a bit nervous on that one, but you love to see Gnar players actually using their Gnar bar as basically like a way to heal up, right? Because every time you go Mega, you keep that bonus HP that you get when you go back to Mini, so it is effectively a little bit of sustain every time you're Gnaring out. So you can go aggressive, take a tower shot, get a nice trade, then you Gnar out, and you're just continually sustaining up in that way and trying to pressure your opponent here.
Upcoming duck doesn't hit. All right, Ablazeolive is able to walk on that one. I thought Gori was going to get a little spicy there, but we are at almost 14 minutes into the game where turret plates are gone. Azael, 2 dragons, or the second dragon is just coming up in about a minute and some change. And already, Stixxay, Gori, River, they're so far ahead, and they want to continue that lead further. Oh! Beautiful stuff from huhi. Did you see that, Azael?
That was sick. And River as well. That looked like an ulti prediction there onto Fleshy. Fleshy flashed, and he went right into it. Right into the Sejuani ulti there. That was actually really nice from Golden Guardians. Flashy stuff coming down from them as they get another kill on bottom side, and the plates have fallen, so that turret is easy pickings for them. Tactical should not be able to stay around here. River can take the blue and then just wrap around, so Tactical's got to leave 100%. That turret's gone.
And with that play as well, Azael, that gives huhi the status of 5th most all-time leader on assists, passing smoothly as well. So, I mean, just huhi has been killing it this week. Just really great stuff. And I think one of the things that always makes me smile is not only just huhi's playing game when things are going well, but also just his personality, how he carries himself outside of the game as well.
It's just all the things about him. It's going to be one of those things where it's like his smile, his hair.
We're just going to start gushing about huhi as well, man.
His Aurelian soul.
But he's great to have on a team environment as well. Everyone that I've talked to is like, I love working with him.
I mean, he is such a positive attitude, and he's such a consummate professional. He's a hard worker. He's great at actually kind of creating that positive environment where you can discuss things, you can give feedback, and really is kind of one of those players that I think a lot of coaches want to have on their team because they're kind of that in-game coach, right? They can calm people down. They can really help kind of foster growth and have direction for your team. So definitely really, really valuable. And all his former teammates will tell you that about him. So is a guy that I think oftentimes is overlooked, and you know, now being separated from FBI, you know, during last year FBI did have a little bit of a turn down, and I think a lot of people were looking and saying, well, maybe it's huhi's fault, right? So huhi, I think, is out to prove himself, you know, with a new bot lane partner, prove his own individual strength, and I think has had some really good games so far this split.
And you know what? And for that's why we give him this crown right here, because he's a king.
Perfect.
King.
There you
right
go.
Here. Bam. How do I erase
Hit R.
R?
Yes. Nailed
Boom.
it.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm learning.
The lesson was worth it.
I'm learning how to draw on this damn screen. All right.
It's fun.
There's some really creative things that I could do, and there's some things that I probably shouldn't do, but I'm really tempted to do.
Don't get too creative.
All right.
You know? There's a line.
There is a line. I will.
The producers are, you know, backstage. They're laughing. They're like, we're gonna need a new caster. You just don't want to get that point.
Oh yeah. Well, 3.5 thousand gold ahead for Golden Guardians at 17 minutes into the game. It does seem to be smooth sailing, as Revenge is probably the only positive point on the map for Immortals, which means Golden Guardians say, we need to turn that light down. We need to shut him out. Thankfully for Revenge, Kenvi and Fleshy are also in the wings, ready to fire right on back for defense.
Yeah, and while he has been doing a good job on these trades and getting pressure out, it's not really amounting to much, right? He's 3 CS up, kind of who cares? It's not going to be enough of an advantage to really make something from it just yet. So he's got to try to continue pushing that pace, and that's where it can get difficult. You know, when you know you're losing the game, as they do, they've lost both dragons. This is going to be 2 heralds that they've lost. Their bot lane is massively behind. You start feeling pressure as a solo laner to try to make something happen. And that's where things can really go bad, because you can overextend, you can expose yourself to a gank, you can try to go for a risky 1v1 that maybe you wouldn't normally, but because you're behind, you have to take more risks.
Well, tactical dodging out on the Glacial Prison. It was a nice attempt from Golden Guardians, but no dice there. I am curious, Azael, if Immortals, as you already called out, I mean, Revenge is not necessarily destroying Licorice in lane. It's just a little bit of pressure on his side. If Immortals can find something on Gori, but he just dashes away. I mean, Immortals are... I don't want to say they're in danger of getting outscaled, but as we talked about before, it's so hard to operate into Golden Guardians' comps.
It definitely can be, but we're going to have to see how this plays out. Revenge is going to be able to walk it out. Procs the hyper there. But I will say, I think Taliyah is insane into what Golden Guardians have drafted, right? There's basically 4 short-range champions with dashes. And turns out rocks are pretty good against that, right?
Yeah.
So if the Ablazeolive can actually stay safe, and they are kind of diving onto them, I think in situations where Immortals are the ones engaging, I think it's really, really hard. But if you are getting engaged upon as the Taliyah, and you can actually just kite back, continue throwing out those stones, throwing down the rocks, you can potentially carry a fight. So there is some hope, but of course, you know, they're very far down in gold, and they're going to kind of have to find their windows. You know, one of the things that is disappointing is that despite the fact that Revenge has had pressure, Ablaze has never found a window to actually use Taliyah all together this game, I don't think. So, you know, the only time he actually looked for it was that roam down towards bot where he got answered by River. That went bad, and then it kind of feels like they just decided, all right, we're losing, let's play safe and scale, right?
Exactly,
And I think when you are going on a Taliyah, you want to still see that proactive movement on the map. You want to see him getting out there, try to play towards your strength.
Yeah.
If Gnar is chunking down Licorice under the turret, hey, get mid lane shoved up, try to move up there with Kenvi, see if you can pull off a 3-man dive or something, because when you sit back, you're just allowing Golden Guardians to get closer and closer and closer to the win condition, which this game is going to be all about soul.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you kind of, if you knew this was how the game was going to be played out, you kind of wish, damn, I wish I picked Azir. I picked Victor or something, you know, where you knew that, hey, no matter what, I just need to farm up, and then we're going to try our best to get the late game. They were planning on some early proactivity, but it's been well shut down by Golden Guardians. The pivot from Stixxay and huhi combined with River to get that dive going. And it really comes down to how Immortals can find windows where Golden Guardians are not on the map and brute force their way and get to the objective first, because then that's when you can force them to walk onto the Taliyah terrain that she sets up.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you can make them fight you on those rocks, or if they overextend trying to find an engage, you know, into one of these jungle corridors, you can kite back. It can be really, really strong. And I think people underestimate Taliyah's scaling as well. Like, she can put out a huge amount of DPS in these team fights, you know, if she is properly set up. But they have decided they're going to try to fight for this. Revenge has Mega going, but it pops early, and now Golden Guardians just need to back it up, wait till that expires.
Yeah.
Honestly, even if you don't get the charge, like, it doesn't really matter that much at this point in the game. Play for Dragon, and with Revenge having that Mega Gnar expiring, I can't see how Immortals are supposed to win this fight.
I don't know.
Look at where Gori is.
That's what I'm concerned about for Immortals' side. I don't know if Immortals, you should really fight this. I mean, they just feel like they are inclined to walk in, but the Dragon's already gone, so what are you getting out of this fight? And then Gori is coming in for the flang. He wants to look for it. Absconic Ducks does not connect, but he still has flash. So if Immortals step too far forward, they have vision on one side of the wall, but they don't see him in the bush. So Immortals know best that it's not wise to take this fight.
Yep, not going to be able to take that fight. It is another Dragon going the way of Golden Guardians. It's really, really good for them, but you can see the Golden Guardians still can have difficulties actually finding that engage. If you can't lock down the correct target with that Sejuani and get raided on top of them, it's so hard to push through Taliyah. So even from this disadvantageous position, Immortals at least kind of fight them out to a stalemate. And Gori here with that stolen ulti, if they overextend, he's going to go. Here's going to go.
Look at this! 2-man knockup from Gori. Goes in with the Absconic Duck. Just watch Stixxay though. He's got the bounty on his side. He's got the damage, but he can't step up too far forward. Immortals are able to fight on back. Tactical, emptying some damage. Black Robe plays all. It doesn't connect, but damn! Immortals are actually fighting back.
Yeah, they're fighting back really, really well. Not able to actually fully get those engages. The flash in from Gori didn't get anyone into the wall, so there wasn't actually the stun. It was just the damage. You know, maybe just scooping them back towards the tower, I think, would have been more effective. I think he thought he had the range to get them stunned into the wall, which would have maybe given this Kalista time to actually connect and get damage out. But in that case, I think it would have been better just scoop them back towards the tower into the team. Because if you can't get in on them on that initial engage, you're just going to be taking so much damage from Tactical, from Ablazeolive, who are just, at that range, calling coming out, the constant cues coming out here from Taliyah make it really, really difficult for this short range comp.
And we're getting to the point of the game where that 3,500 gold lead, oh, just as I say it, Ablazeolive is gone, baby. Golden Guardians finding Mr. Olive a little too far overextended, trying to protect that tower. I don't think it's going to give them Baron pressure. Oh, you know what? I take that back. They're just going to fire it away right now.
I mean, I don't know if they'll fully commit to it, but they at least want to force Immortals to come to them because they showed Gnar bot lane, so they're trying to make him come up because they have TP advantage. So they're setting up a 5v3 right now, but huhi is taking a lot of damage himself.
Forced to flash, but he still has the hostile takeover and wait for Immortals to fully commit before he throws it out. All right, it hits onto 2. Kenvi going in with the Cyclone, but everyone from Golden Guardian is just keeping Kenvi out of the club. No one is getting into the Baron pit, and Golden Guardians just get to walk away freely with the objective on their side. Oh, they're flashing back in. Flash from Licorice. Kenvi is stunned up. Clone, can he get out alive? He's running for the hills, but Golden Guardians are still on their side. Man, oh man, it was getting dicey there, but they still have the Baron buff, so that's all that they need to walk away with.
Yeah, Stixxay just really having trouble actually getting in range, it feels like, in a lot of these fights to finish off any of the kills as they're getting low. He can't seem to quite get in. And Ablaze on that top side was just punished so heavily for his offensive flash. Earlier in that fight, when they were getting them chunked down around mid lane, he actually looked for a flat seismic shove. He couldn't connect it on anyone. So they say, all right, you're going to show top? Well, we can punish you. He has Spellbook, so he swapped it over to a heal, but that's not going to keep you safe from that CC. As soon as one lands, the other is going to be there to follow it up, and that kill allowed them to start the pressure because it wasn't just that Ablazeolive is dead. It's that Revenge was showing bot, and they knew he had no TP, and they had TP advantage on their Renekton. So it's not a 5v4, it's a 5v3 when they're starting that Baron. And that's really what gave them the confidence to do it, and you love to see Golden Guardians recognizing that very quickly and being really aggressive about it.
And Azael, Gori has picked up the BM book. The Magi Soul Stealer has been purchased. He is feeling damn confident about this next fight. It is going to be Soul that is on the line for Golden Guardian. And at this point, we already know that Immortals, they didn't feel that confident about forcing the other fight, but this one, they have to contest.
They absolutely have to. And this is that time in the game where if you can afford it, buy a stopwatch, buy an elixir. This is the fight that either keeps you in the game or the game is over really on the Immortal side. So you've got to go all out to try to get that. Golden Guardians just want to extend their gold lead. They need to make sure that they leave themselves enough time if they want to reset and fully establish vision around that dragon because this is their win condition here. They are looking really, really close to kind of sealing what are probably the last sorts of chances that Immortals have in this game.
Golden Guardians just taking their time at this point. 35 seconds away from the dragon spawning. They have complete control of this bot jungle. Nothing belongs to the side of Immortals.
Yeah, it's looking difficult. Fleshy getting pushed back. Has to be careful there. It's only 20 seconds until dragon spawns. Immortals are taking some late resets, trying to get as much as they can here. As Kenvi's going to get pulled in. Has to be careful.
I've seen some combos from really skilled Renata maids where they Q and they pull them right into the hostile takeover on the second cast. I guess that wasn't the time to strike for it, but huhi will know when to do it best. Immortals just holding on.
Yeah, and huhi really just wants to hold that for the dragon fight itself here. River gets walled, but he's got a dash, and so does Licorice. So
I don't think they know that Stixxay has been stacking up the dragon this entire time, and Immortals, unless Kenvi, you can find a miracle out of nothing, goes clones in, but it's too late. It is secured, and Kenvi flashes into the wall. He's got nowhere to run. He's just buying time for the rest of Immortals to get the hell out of there. You all better run, because Golden Guardians are coming. Huhi throws himself in there, catches hostile takeover onto one. Ablazeolive will fall. Revenge throws River into the wall, but if you can't take out the backline, then there's no hope at all.
Yeah, Immortals not going to have enough left in the tank there. They were arriving to the dragon just too late, simply put, not able to get there in time. Kenvi tries to go for some heroics, tries to look for that smite steal. Wasn't able to make it happen though. The soul is secured. They get a couple kills on the way out, and now Tactical and Fleshy have got to run. Tactical's in trouble.
Nicely done. River Q flash forces Tactical to flash as well. He still has a cleanse to play with, so if he gets stunned by that permafrost, it might be the next thing burned. But Golden Guardians, all they want is to continue pushing into the base before their Baron buff expired, and they get 2 inhibitor turrets off.
And they have so much gold in pocket right now. 2,500 gold on Kalista, over 2,000 on Renekton, about 2,000 in the mid lane, and there was over 1,000 gold in the pockets of the jungler there. So they were closing in on 10,000 gold before they all reset there between their 5 members. So they really want to spend that up. You don't want to stay on the map too long. But we can watch this one more time. Gori kind of threatening from the side. They're trying to go for this a little bit of a desperate ult because both these players have dashes and they just realize we've got no vision. They're probably already on Dragon. They're trying to force something. Kenvi does at least bully his way in with the help of Ablazeolive to try to get into the pit. With Kalista spears there, as long as Golden Guardians are actually coordinating well on that, it was never really going to happen. And you can see the stolen Gnar all there, stunning him into the wall. Gori was just buying time on the other side. He had the Zonias to make space and did a good job of it.
And the rest is history here for Immortals as we have another fight. Revenge, a little too far overextended. I don't know how we got to that point in the game, but Golden Guardians being able to pick off a lonely top laner as Baron will be spawning in the next minute, and Immortals just have real no way to be able to set up the necessary vision to get into the Baron side.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult at this point in the game. You know, they're just so far behind. It's nearly well, it is 10,000 gold lead exactly now. Plus Soul, you're going to give them about another 4,000 or 5,000 gold in stats from that. Like, it's an astronomical lead here. And everyone went back and basically picked up a full item afterwards. I like that Licorice, he knows the game's not about him. He's actually just going Radiant Glory, or Radiant Virtue, excuse me.
Yeah.
So just playing, heavily for those utility style items. River can tank up as much as he wants because he has his Warmog, so he knows I can just body block and then just back it up and heal right back to full.
And Golden Guardians just being right at the footsteps outside of the base of Immortals because they are giving pressure and time for Licorice while Revenge was dead on that death timer. And just making sure that they set up everything necessary to close out this game. And Golden Guardians, they are just moments away from closing out a nice 2-0 week for them, bouncing back. Kenvi is going to throw one last-ditch effort, finds River, but you got to make sure you can find a way to take out Stixxay in the end, and they don't even take out River. He still lives through it all. And now Stixxay, he's in a one-on-one against Revenge. He's got members behind him, but they still can't take him down. Stixxay lives through it all, picks up a double. Licorice dashing over the wall, wants to get Fleshy as well. A flash is, holy damn! What was that, Gori? Just catching Ablazeolive before he even gets away. God, Golden Guardians. Now I know why Anera was not worried at all in that interview with Travis. He was like, it's just fine, guys. We're gonna be just fine. A nice statement, back-to-back win, and hell of a week for Golden Guardians to end it off.
Yeah, looking really strong in this one, Gori. That final kill looking flashy, just grabbing a hold of Ablazeolive, pulling him off the wall. They're going to play around with the fountain, but they will eventually finish this one out. A 2-0 week for Golden Guardians. The first week that they really, had to actually practice here with Gori. He did come in last week, but it just arrived. So they had a full week of scrims. They had that preparation coming into this one and looked much better for it. Stixxay and huhi really benefited from that pressure from River.
Yeah.
But to me, more than anyone else, this was a game about River. River really was everywhere. He ended the game with nearly perfect KP. He only missed out on 1 kill throughout the entire game, but all of the early game was driven by him.
That's
the
right.
dive top lane, gets right down to bot, dives bot lane. He actually counter ganks on the roam that was coming through from Ablazeolive, meets him in the river, wins that scuffle there.
He was everywhere.
He basically put all 3 lanes ahead, with this really aggressive play, with this really active play that you're not expecting from a Sejuani. You're not expecting Sejuani to just instantly be looking for a level 3 dive top in these types of plays, but he's finding those windows and he's finding these angles that his team was really making the most of. And then you get Gori, you get Stixxay that far ahead.
Yeah.
It's going to mean really, really good things for the team fight. I think Immortals did a good job of kind of hanging on and actually, fighting some of these 5v5s to at least a bit of a stalemate. But they were never able to actually get to the objectives and really kind of wrestle any sort of advantage away from the Golden Guardians.
Yeah, I mean, being proficient is the name of the game if you want to be one of the best junglers right now here in the LCS, especially when so much of the metagame is reliant upon, hey, what can you do to influence this lane? How fast can you get bot lane steamrolling, right? And River already knows his role. And for a team like Immortals, they're still trying to figure out that identity. Yesterday, they were tenacious. They were able to last long enough against Dignitas. Today is not the case. Golden Guardians just putting out a clinic of how you close out a game cleanly. And this is the type of vision that they want to have for themselves as they progress further and further into the split.
I mean, it's honestly really interesting. We're 3 weeks into the split, but because some of the teams had these late arrivals, some of the teams I think are having a bit of a resurgence. It doesn't feel like everything is set in stone or even close to it, right? Because Golden Guardians just had a 2-0 weekend. We know even last week they looked a lot better. We're seeing TL come and start to really kind of improve. We're seeing a lot of these teams that are looking like they could potentially be a threat up towards the middle of the pack and up towards maybe even the upper middle end of the pack, which I think is really, really exciting at this point in the league.
Yeah. I mean, you were talking about it before with Team Liquid and in the prior series as well. It's like, hey, other than FlyQuest, all the other teams, even like, Cloud9, EG, 100 Thieves, you could take them down.
1 or 2 games behind.
Yeah. Everything is doable here. But that's going to conclude it for me and Azael here on the casting desk. We're going to be joining Raz and Stixxay for a Verizon post-game interview.
Hey, congratulations, Stixxay. Straight from the top. First 2-0 week. Game's looking great. I can already just predict you got player of the game with that performance. So how does that feel?
It's pretty nice, especially considering we were 0-4.
Yes.
It's nice to have a 2-0 week, which is kind of rare for the Guardians. And yeah, we got a lot better. This is our first week of actual practice with Gori.
Yes.
So it feels really good that it kind of paid off.
That's kind of my next question, is more so like, how is the team morale? Because, going through week after week, obviously you guys had a lot to kind of work on before the split even begins. And so having 2 0-2s in a row must have not felt good. So mostly just team morale coming into this week.
Yeah, it was kind of weird because we went 0-4, but also our scrims weren't going that well. So it's like, what is happening kind of thing. And I think in the last week, a lot of it we chalked up to, we had a sub in the mid lane, and then last week it was like Gori had been here for like a day. And then, this is our first full week. So we just kind of chalked it up like, it's a fresh start, guys. Gori just got here. Let's kind of start anew. And our scrims got a lot better, and we to it. So
you guys have any conversations about strength of schedule? Because you guys, even though one thing was like the strength of schedule was really hard for you guys, but you guys had really close games versus Evil Geniuses. There was one versus Team Liquid. So like none of that really, just like no conversations around that, or?
Kind of, but not really. It's not really like an excuse to lose, because the games were really winnable, like you said. But I guess for me personally, it was frustrating because I felt like if I could have been the difference maker in those games. So I just knew if I had played a little bit better, we would have won, even versus the top team. So how's like that development been going? You guys have a new head coach with Spooks, but he's been around with you guys for some time. Have you guys felt like that development has been going? Yeah, I mean, he's been obviously in the Golden Guardians atmosphere for a long time, so everyone knows him, and even Jay huhi, who worked with him years ago, known him. So yeah, I mean, it's been going pretty smooth. He's really easygoing, and he's a funny guy. So. And
a question that I haven't gotten a chance to ask you is just being able to work with huhi again. Longtime teammates when you guys were on CLG, now being able to rejoin in the bot lane. How's it been just kind of getting things back in motion again?
Yeah, it's been interesting, I guess different than I would have expected. I always remember huhi as the nice guy when I was on CLG, and nowadays he's so toxic.
Oh!
I don't know, and I don't know how to explain it. He's just a lot different than he used to be, but it's really helpful for me because it pushes me a lot.
Yeah.
And I think he's improved me as a player massively. So
just kind of in personal reviews, he's just noticing things.
It's even when the game we just completely stomp, he's just thinking about that one time that I messed up, and I'm just like, man, can you never just let me have it? But it's fine.
Hey, you know what? It amounted to a 2-0 week, and it sounds like there's a lot more to come off that one. Congratulations one more time, brother. And I'm gonna send this straight back to the Analyst Lounge for another end of day.
Golden Guardians, 2-0 on the week, 2-4 on the year. Thank you, Raz and Stixxay. He's going to join us in a second because there is physical space between the stage and here. So let's pull up our Samsung SSD Fast 5 for this week.
Look at Stixxay.
Yeah, there he is.
King of the fastest kill in the bot lane. I think that was actually from his first game, or did that beat? He was 4 before. Hold on, I'm going to look at the stats.
That is the slowest, fastest kill I think we've had this year.
Slowest, fastest kill?
Yeah.
He was 434 before that. He got won this game at 433.
Oh, wow. So he's in a rhythm with when he gets the fastest kill.
Unless I misunderstood what the person in my ear just said.
The other person I want to call out is Summit at 1015 for 100 CS. I already said this earlier, top of day. This man stays forward in lane.
He does.
And farms and pushes, and it's reflected here.
Hey.
Good.
At least Santorin got a W. Fastest level 6 timing.
I was like, what do you mean, Jack?
Congratulations to those of you who've earned bonus points on the LCS Sleep Wrap for having this week's top performers in your lineup. And I think at this point, we just podcast about the week.
That's all right.
Yeah. So, FlyQuest.
Uh-huh.
They are 6-0.
Yes.
They've beaten all of the top teams. Are they? It is too soon to say if they're going to go 18-0.
But you're gonna
like, are they going to go 18-0?
You're gonna ask the question.
Yeah, like, because that's just what you do when a team is undefeated.
Yes.
Yes, they're going to go 18-0?
No, okay, no.
It's you.
Let's go.
No, don't do that.
Go,
Don't do
Raz.
that. It's a no.
Take it.
The answer is a no. That's not going to happen. I think if there was a chance, if it's a best of 3 situation, that you can say, oh, consistently they can win out games even if they make mistakes in draft.
Sure, that's like the T1 undefeated.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
The T1 undefeated is possible, but that's not the case here. It's a best of 1, and we could see teams like Cloud9 and Evil Geniuses, the way they play the game. In fact, the EG FlyQuest game, I was looking great for Evil Geniuses, even in the bad draft. So it's like, I have to have faith that a team can knock them down at least once.
It's close because I think they look like they should be favorites in every game they play by a pretty substantial margin. When you look at the other 17-1 teams, it was almost always like a weird game that just clipped them at the end towards the back half of the second round robin. I think that was the case with Immortals when they lost to CLG in that crazy one.
This was back in 2016, yeah.
Yeah, and I think it was a similar thing for the TSM roster as well, who had a 17-1 record. It's like it's very hard in the second round robin to not let one game get away from you.
Yeah, and I remember we're talking about that IMT team in Spring Split. I was with Dignitas. We sucked, but there was one game where all of our players were firing off. We were stomping IMT. We threw at the end, so whatever. But the main point of being is like some days, like you can just come in one day, have the draft that you've been looking for, and play extremely well in a best of 1 and take it. So that's why I'm like, I don't think that's going to happen. But the team is looking better and better, even with a sub.
Yeah, I think single games are actually the key here in terms of like why I don't think they can do it, and it has like actually nothing to do with how good of a team I think they are, and everything to do with the fact that when you're in a single game format, games are so flippable depending on draft and condition of day.
Yeah,
I think.
Are you also a no?
I mean, I think it's possible.
I'll just say if everyone's gonna say no, I'll say yes.
Yeah, exactly.
The contrarian. Mark,
so Fnatic,
always contrarian Zimmerman.
Fnatic in 2015 did the 18-0. And then they actually lost a bunch of best of 1s in the playoffs, even though they ended up being the champions. And they've beaten the best teams now. So, like, I think they're going to go at least 9.
Yeah.
Right? We also, but of course it can flip because I think it's like COD, TSM, and Immortals or something that they play next week. If you're going to say yes, I also want to know, if no, how many games? Like the recalibration of FlyQuest.
Yeah.
17, 16, 15, like what's your over and under?
I've been 18-0 all year. That's why they're number 1 on top of my power rankings.
You have not been 18-0 all year.
Prove it.
You've never done it. Okay, schedules for next week are in the back. So we got a Super Week coming up Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Let's find the logo. Immortals first for them.
Well, it's not happening this week.
Yeah,
yes, second.
Oh, they play against 100 Thieves again on
100
Friday.
Thieves third. So that's one.
Okay.
People were really looking forward to that game today.
They just played today. That can't be right.
That's not right.
That's this Friday's match schedule. You tricksters.
Whoa!
It's not wrong.
Wow.
But it is wrong.
It is
wrong.
It's supposed to be COD on Friday.
To answer your question, though, I will say that they'll lose 4 games.
14.
Oh, wow.
I think they'll lose 4 games overall, and it will probably be to EG is going to be 1 loss. C9, I think, can take a game off of them. And I think that they'll lose maybe to Team Liquid because I don't know what to gauge from Team Liquid. I think Team Liquid is just a wild card right now.
4 and 5 in the back.
Hold on. I think this is a huge hedging opportunity for me. So I said C9. I said C9 would finish ahead of FlyQuest in the standings. Can I hedge that they're going to win more than 14 games?
No.
Oh, God.
And then we can just trade punishments?
Oh, my God.
I hate this idea already.
Okay. So all right. Numbers?
I go 4 losses.
I said 2. Because I agree with Raz, but I don't think they'll lose that many games. Like, I think there are clear teams that are just underneath them, even though FlyQuest is, like, obviously the best team right now, that I think they can drop a single game to.
Yeah. I'm at 16. But 17 and 18 are actually in play. They're super good.
18?
Okay.
Like I said, they won 18.
FlyQuest is the best. Next question we have is, who is the second best team in the LCS right now? Who's 4-2?
Yeah, it's
C9's 4-2.
EG, Hundo.
EG's 4-2.
Yeah.
Hundo's 4-2.
Yeah.
I'm
My
gonna
gut.
say-
At the start of the year,
Answer is 200.
Oh, she has the answer.
Jack, I swear to God,
Nice.
I swear to God, once a day in
It's true.
meetings, like off air,
I
he
need to
speaks
turn
right
Siri
next
off.
to his mouse.
I really need to turn
He's like
Siri off.
stretching. He's like, well, I wonder who this is gonna be. Siri just chimes in during
Yep.
meetings and stuff, bro.
It has
I'm
the
gonna
most
throw that thing off
random
your wrist.
answer.
I apologize.
I'm gonna flush it down
I
the
have a clear answer for this. I think it's EG.
Okay.
Yeah.
Based on their actual map play. Like, I think you could see that today. And I think you could even see it in a few of their other games, even when they look shaky. I think the intent behind what they do is really, really clear.
Yeah.
So for me right now, they are the second best team in the LCS.
I go EG as well. I think even with like the JoJo trolling moments, it's like usually it's some. There's a couple times where it is unforgivable, but a lot of the times it's also like I'm trying to pressure and like ride the line between too safe and too aggressive. I think their win over C9 kind of cemented it. I think they would have been the other team.
Yeah.
I was interested in, and the fact that they took them down pretty handily was a big dub for me.
I mean, I was going to say EG. I think Cloud9 is the clear second. For me, the team that I always tend to doubt for whatever reason is 100 Thieves, and they keep surprising me. Like, 100 Thieves is a team that I said was going to be a fourth best team, and it seems like, sure, they lost to C9 at the beginning of the
They have
split.
looked really good. Tenacity's been super good.
Tenacity having a really fire game today was something that I couldn't, especially versus Impact.
Yeah.
Really changes how I view this team. And on top of that, their drafts have been really straightforward, and I've really appreciated. I think their drafts have been smart every game. And then on top of that, the way they contest and fight for objectives is just smart.
Yeah.
So everything I see from just their games wants me to say that they're a top 2 team. But I can't count out EG and Cloud9 because of who they are.
Yeah.
So for now, I'm going to keep doubting them, but I'm just letting people know the footage is out there of me saying not to count this team out.
I originally said 100 Thieves was going to have a bad start to the year, but then still have a chance of winning the split.
Yeah.
But they've had a good start to the year. And I think for questions like this, sometimes I like figuring out who is running it down the most in a fixable way,
Yeah.
right? So to therefore be underrated. And it's a little bit of EG, I think.
Yeah.
Because they had that really kind of throwy game against CLG, where part of it was bad draft because they got so easily outscaled with a few mistakes. And then they also had that random Jace pick when Impact talked about how they were cornered in 4 or 5 of the draft, and that's their 2 losses.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And everything else they've won. I had them power rank #1 going into the year.
Same.
So I'm going to still stick with EG.
You know what's really interesting is it's hearing you say that is kind of a throwback to last year, where we would kind of really go in on a lot of EG's drafts.
Yeah.
And that was like, we were like, when
Back at
they figure this out, they're going to be so good. And then they ended up winning the split. So.
Yeah, because if you're like a bad patch team, it doesn't matter that much in the regular season as long as you make the playoffs, because you sit on the playoffs patch for so long, and as long as you're like top 4, you get double elimination, so you get a chance to learn the patch, and you're going to be able to do that more long term. Anyways, the MasterCard Player of the Week is Chris. 2 out of 3 this week in particular. 21 kills, 2 deaths, 16 assists against top opponents. We just said EG and 100 Thieves are the second, third best teams in the league.
Last week was a debate. This one's not even a conversation. that really Prince performed out of his mind in both of these games. And so it really does cement what is dominance for him this split. It reminds me last year you started to see Inspired stack Player of the Week after Player of the Week, and you started to have the conversation about MVP. I know that you in this or that basically had that as a slide. This guy has started the first 3 weeks really on fire.
I agree. He's been so dominant. He's been set up well. I think it's actually, there's going to be a really interesting thing that happens to FlyQuest during the split because he's been so good with Winsome.
Yeah.
But Ayla's going to show up at some point, and I wonder how that's going to be for the team.
This was the game that kind of made it really contentious because they got pinched hard. They banned 3 things on red side. There were a takeaway in the first round, Rob. Oh, the chef.
Okay, Prince is going to cook the team dinner. I think this is fraudulent.
This is not a good idea.
I don't think Prince is going to cook.
That's
I
some
think
meat on
they're
the table.
faking him cooking, but that is some good-looking meat.
It's hard to mess up
He did say he was really picky about food.
Yeah.
And he likes spicy food, so I wonder.
Season though, I don't know if he has to do much other than fill him up.
And it's really hard
That's
to
what
mess
they're
up
down
beef,
there.
period. Like, what are you going to do? Like, you can just say, guys, I meant for it to be
overcook
extra rare. I just meant
I
that
meant
was
to make it a brick. I meant to turn it into sawdust.
You're saying?
Just that they got pinched really hard in the draft. They had to go down to Nautilus Kaisa, which is like not a bot lane you play in the current meta. No one really wants to play that. And then they still got 2v2 kills in lane and then still popped off in team fights. So that was just a huge, like, oh, it's not just the meta stuff with Winsome. He actually might deserve the spot over Ayla if they can do that.
Yeah, I'm really interested in that. We've talked a lot about Prince. We're going to continue to talk a lot about Prince because he's the best and they're the best team. So let's take a moment and ask who is the runner-up for Player of the Week. We've like never done this. But it's not an official award. We're just saying like if Prince didn't exist because he's too good, who would your like second place Player of the Week be?
So I know I just had an interview with him, but I think Stixxay had a really good week. I know that the competition for him was a lot more lighter than the previous weeks, but he had 2 standout performances. His Kalista game was incredibly strong. He had great focus on objectives, which made it really difficult to smite away, and also he roamed mid. Like I feel like he has just been playing on form.
I'm actually going to go with his bot lane partner.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
I think huhi, like we already talked about this at top of day.
Yeah.
Raz, you've been highlighting how huhi has kind of been a standout for this team in a lot of their losses when they were really shaky, but they looked, especially early with huhi roaming, that they were going to be really good. I said that huhi was going to roam to their first win. He didn't. He actually stayed in that Ezreal Karma lane, and they just dominated. And then today, I thought he had a really good performance, too. He was on the map as early as first back. And obviously, again, Kalista Renata, not something we've seen a ton of in the current meta. I thought it was pretty creative. I think, again, the way he gets on the map and has such intent behind where he's going, if he's going mid, having river control, I think has been so important for what the team and River, the jungler, wants to do. And they've been working really well together. So yeah, I'd give it to huhi.
I think it's pretty hard to pick anyone other than the Golden Guardians or FlyQuest because they're the only 2 O's on the week and everyone else traded games and like it's hard to pick someone who lost the game. So for FlyQuest, I would actually just throw Speak out as well. I thought he had two really good games, especially the second one, just getting so far ahead of closers, still making things happen, being just a huge frontline threat.
Yeah, I was going to say Stixxay. Raz said Stixxay. I was going to say Spica. Mark said Spica.
So don't say anything.
So I'm going to say double-lift because he had a really good first game against TL. He got 14 kills. And yeah, he lost to the King. Whatever. Prince took him down. But that doesn't mean it's a bad week. We've never given Player of the Week to someone who's 1-1. Why are we always...
I think we have actually
I think we might have.
Yeah,
might have once.
We definitely have once.
Because we've had like some messy...
Standings. These are the standings for the end of the day.
Wrong. Quick,
FlyQuest at 6-0, as we've been discussing. We got 3 teams at 4-2, TL and TSM at 3-3, COG Golden Guardians Immortals at 2-4, and Dignitas still looking for that first win. Maybe next week. Anything could happen. Schedule for next week. Remember, we start on Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Wednesday. Answer to our question of second best team, FlyQuest Immortals, TLCLG, Dignitas, Cloud9, and TSM Golden Guardians. Full schedule is on lolesports.com. I also can find it on Leaguepedia because they pull from that as well. So there's a lot of ways to find out when the LCS is, but most importantly, it's on Wednesday.
Be here.
Yes.
Okay, LEC starts tomorrow, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. NACL starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific. And that's it for week 3 of the LCS. We'll see you on Wednesday.
On Wednesday.
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 How did I miss that?
Wednesday. Wednesday.
Winsome going in again. They're doing a great job down here in bottom, finding Busio time after time. Ignite burns them away. Nicholas teleporting. They're actually going to come to the same. Oh, they steal it. Spica goes in and he gets the Herald, but he won't be able to pick up the eye. Tenacity gets a killing spree, and Busio looks for the charm onto the 2 bottom laners of FlyQuest. Winsome's going to die now, second.
Here comes Prince, the Kaisa flank.
Can he fire the plasma? He hits plasma onto double-lift. Now they're coming in. Busio's going to be the first target here for Prince's auto attacks. Double-lift lets the feathers fly. Prince is putting the bullets in double-lift. He takes them down. Prince. It's 3 kills for FlyQuest.
You always want to play through the minion wave to dodge the cocoon. He dodges another cocoon.
He goes back and he gets another one. Dokla's too damn good at this game. Solo cuts off contracts from the other 2 players, and they finish him off first. Boom can't get away after from the CC, and it's a double kill over to Neo. The TSM Steamroller, chugga, 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 just flattens CLG. Is this gonna be one of those
Are you kidding me? Is that
gonna be one of those games? Vulcan's getting away as Vulcan jumps over the wall. JoJo's ready to go. It's port pretty low, but he ain't dead yet. Down to about 300 HP, and Blabber's on the chain. Inspired goes right back in. They're going to trade jungler for jungler, and Berserker's barely alive, but now something grabs the kill on him. Deflex goes in. C9 trying to get the kills, but they won't be able to find him. Oh, will they? The Fudge Factor is somehow still alive. Oh, no way! Chopped up. Fudge going again. Holy hell! Fudge is playing out his freaking mind.
But he takes the ultimate from Pioshik, who's going to fire Nature's Wrath right on back. Biofrost is also the first support to roam and collapse, and that gives Dignitas an advantage right now. But Summon and Harry blow up Santorin and Jensen, and Armament is now getting taken all out for an all-out excursion. Summon wins! He goes all out. Yon wants a piece of the action here, but someone says this one is all mine, baby. And if there's no ADC, there's no way that the rest of your team is cleaning up that one. Yon gets to pick off free pickings here on the other side of the map. Arma goes back in for a counter strike, but the bonk stick ain't bonking today. It is Team Liquid that comes out on top. River and Stixxay hop, skip, jumping forward, looking for the damage. The spears are stacking. One that's nicely done from Stixxay. Gets the rend in, but now Kenvi has joined the fray. Fleshy can't really do much more from the sidelines. Kenvi trades one back onto River. Whoa, 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 the damage is cool, but Stixxay still's got spears. It is secured, and Kenvi flashes into the wall. He's got nowhere to run. He's just buying time for the rest of Immortals to get the hell out of there. You all better run, because Golden Guardians are coming. Huhi throws himself in there, catches hostile takeover onto one. Ablazeolive will fall. Revenge throws River into the wall, but if you can't take out the back line, then there's no hope at all.
Oh, man. Uh-oh. He's going in. Oh, Prince, player of the week ×2.